very much.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. So my name is Lina Mortagine. I'm a PhD at Wysky Company and École des Mines of Saint-Étienne. And I am pleased to present our work about memory optimized implementation of ROLO1 and a first study of side-chain attacks against this crypto system. This work was joined with Othman Benjalal, Pierre-Louis Quérel, Nadia El-Mrabe, and Jérôme Lablanche. So, as you all know, in 2016, the NIST launched post-quantum standardization. And so a question that we could ask is, can we integrate post-quantum crypto systems in microcontrollers we can find on the market? So for this work, we tried to answer to this question by studying two issues due to the environment, so the memory and the information leakages coming from a device executing cryptographic operations. And that is why we decided to study ROLO1, which present interesting parameter sizes for embedded implementations. And here we consider the parameters provided in the second round, but new ones have recently been released. For the implementations, we targeted a 32-bit microcontroller available on the market. And what's interesting us in this component is the possible use of the crypto coprocessor to speed operations to speed computations in GF2M, and the memory available for cryptographic computation. So here it's 4 kilobytes of RAM. We then decided to perform two implementations, one using only the software and a second one that benefits from the current crypto coprocessor. So ROLO1 is a key encapsulation mechanism in rank metric over FQMN. And as you've seen in the representations, we give here some backgrounds. So given a code of length n such that its coefficients are in FQM, an element X in this code can be represented under its matrix form. And from this, we can define the rank of this element as the rank of the associated matrix and the support of this element as the set of generators of this element over FQ. So in the table, you have the fixed parameters for the second round submission of ROLO1. And considering these parameters, you have these two isomorphisms. And here you have Pn and Pm, two irreducible polynomials over F2. And D and R are respectively the ranks of the support of the public key and the era. So let's now detail the ROLO1 scheme. So Alice and Bob want to share a secret. To do that, Alice is first going to generate randomly the secret key of support F and rank D. And then she can compute the public key as the inverse of the first part of the secret key X multiplied by the second part of the secret key Y in GF2MN. And now Bob is going to encapsulate the secret information. So this is done by picking two random elements, E1 and E2, of supports E and rank R. And he can then compute the ciphertext by using the public key and derives the share key from the support E. To decapsulate, Alice is going first to compute the syndrome as the multiplication between X and the ciphertext in GF2MN. And then she can recover the support E by applying the rank support recovery algorithm, and then derive the share key in the same way than Bob. So for the implementation using only the software, we needed to implement operations in GF2M. And in this table, you can see the algorithms we use to perform the different operations over GF2M and GUFN over GM2MN. And in our case, we must consider the memory space available to perform them. So this limitation leads us to make some implementation choices for the operation in GF2MN. So we can take the example of the rank support recovery algorithm that occurs in the decapsulation process. In the second round submission version, 2 precomputations are performed, as you can see on line 2 and 3. However, these precomputations have a memory cost. And at this stage of the decapsulation process, we have elements in memory. And so if we add these elements to the memory space required to perform these precomputations, Rollo 128, for example, required 4,212 bytes. And as it is costly in time to not perform these precomputations, we decided to implement them as presented in red. So now we only have 3 SI in memory for the precomputations instead of D. And so if we consider now Rollo 128, the modifications allow us to save 972 bytes. Then if we consider all the memory usage for the execution of the key generation, encapsulation and decapsulation processes, we observe that Rollo 128 and Rollo 192 can be performed with about 4 kilobytes of RAM. And for Rollo 256, the cryptosystem executions required about less than 8 kilobytes of RAM, but it's still reasonable. So we also measured the performances of the executions of the cryptosystem with and without the cryptocoprocessor on the targeted microcontroller. And even if the main goal of this work is to study optimized implementation in memory, we also wonder if it was realistic in terms of execution times. So we compare it with the key exchange in elliptic curve ECDH that is present in the component. We observe that Rollo 1 then keeps the same order of magnitude of ECDH, and thus we can say that its performances are realistic. So, but as you know, when we implement on embedded systems, we have to deal with the information leakages, which can be exploited by a side channel attacker. Like a thief who listens to a safe to get the right combination, an attacker can listen to the devices executing the crypto system with a probe to get the secret information. And this can be done by analyzing the power consumptions of the microcontroller. And in the case, in our case, the attacker tries to recover the syndrome. So he has a control on the decapsulation inputs. So here it's the ciphertext. And so for Rollo 1, we decided to study the information leakages coming from the Gaussian elimination. Because when we want to implement the standard Gaussian elimination on binary matrix, a simple and efficient way to perform it is given in this algorithm. And so we can see that when the coefficient is 1, an operation is always performed. And in contrast, when the coefficient is 0, nothing is done. And so, as we can see in the trace, these differences of treatment leak and allow us to distinguish the pattern of the coefficient 1 or 0. And thus, the recovery of the full first column of the syndrome, matrix syndrome. For the other columns, all the coefficients are not processed because the matrix is not under its reduced form. And since it's a binary matrix, the systems of equations should be complicated to solve. So that's why we decided to perform a rotation of the matrix. And in that way, each column is processed once as a first column. To do that, we multiplied the ciphertext by xi, with I comprised between 1 and 78 in GF2MN, which leads to 79 different matrices. However, we don't have to forget the modulo PM involved in the multiplication in GF2MN. So if we take the example of the first rotation, when we multiply C, the ciphertext C by X in GF2MN, the last column of the matrix XOR with the first one and the column 9. So when we recover the column 9, we need to keep in mind this XOR with the column 79. And so at the end of the attack, we know the complete syndrome matrix. So thus to deal with the side channel attacks, we consider two solutions. We can consider two solutions. The first one is constant time implementation, for which the execution time is no longer dependent on the private key. And the second one could consist of added dummy operation. And with this countermeasure, an attacker will not be able to distinguish any pattern, so it can be enough to protect against the previous attack. But these countermeasures can be subjected to other side channel attacks, and thus another solution consists of randomizing the treatment of coefficients in each column. And in this case, the attacker will not be able to recover the order of elements in a column. And so it will have n possibilities for the pivot and factorial m possibilities for the row processing. So with Rollo 128, these solutions lead to a complexity of factorial 47 to the 79. And we implemented these countermeasures as presented in the algorithm. So the processed rows are chosen randomly to find the pivots and to eliminate coefficients ones in a column. So even if we can always distinguish patterns for coefficients 1 or 0, the order of these elements is completely random. Finally, you can see on the table the impact of these countermeasures. So, and these countermeasures impact the execution time of the decapsulation process. And so we didn't yet consider the constant time implementation, but we implement dummy operations that impact the execution time by about 40%. And for the randomization, it has an impact of about 50%. So to conclude, we can conclude that Rollo 1 presents good size of parameters for embedded implementations. It can also benefit from the current cryptocore processors, so it's a good thing. And even if side channel attacks, the countermeasures to protect against side channel attacks have a cost, we can say that Rollo 1 is still efficient. And so for the future work, we are going to look at constant time implementations and the new version of Rollo 1, and it will also be interesting to consider Rollo 2 and Rollo 3. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Lina.